Well, I thought we'd show off some of the flowers from our old-fashioned garden by making a flower arrangement out of them. Now, these flowers are some that have been around a long time, and you might have seen them in your grandmother's garden if you had been around back then. And today I'm using some stock, which is very bright, and it also has a wonderful smell to it, some Shasta daisies, and some cornflower or bachelor button. Now, if you make an arrangement with some old-fashioned flowers, you might want to make kind of an informal arrangement, and you can use any kind of container. I decided to use a flower pot here. Now, I'm not going to make my arrangement right into this flower pot because it's terracotta, and so the water would come through that onto your table, or it would go through the hole in the bottom. So all you need to do is find some kind of a container that holds water that fits down inside that. And I've just used a plastic cup here. Now, I've put some floral foam in here, and it's been soaking in water, so it's taken up water that I can use to put the stems in so that they'll stay standing upright. Well, now I've just set this inside here. If you feel like it's going to wiggle, you can actually tape this down with some florist tape, but this is going to be in here pretty well, so I'm not going to use any. Now I'm going to start and make kind of a round arrangement, and first off I want to use some greenery on the bottom to cover that foam. So I'm going to use some of our Nandina here, and while this isn't something we probably would have found in our grandmother's garden, it makes a nice greenery to use in floral arrangements that you can find right out in your yard. So now I'm going to cover the foam, and I'm basically going around in a circle because this is a round arrangement. Well, now I've basically greened my container where you can't see the cup and you can't see the edge of the pot anymore. Now I'm ready to put some of the flowers in. So I'm going to start with my stalk here, and I've actually cut these already to the size that I want, but I want a tall one in the middle. And then I'm going to come back, kind of go around in a circle with some of these shorter ones. Now this will smell very nicely if you put this on your dinner table or beside the sofa or something. It'll smell nice and also be nice to look at. Now basically gone around here, and that one I'm going to have to cut it off, and we'll stick it back here. And now I've got a framework here with my stalk, and I'm going to come back in with some of my daisies and fill in. Now, some of the lower foliage, you can go ahead and remove that, and I'm going to cut that just a little bit more. Now the white is nice with this darker color because it makes the darker color show up better. It really sets it off nicely. These I'm putting in just a little bit lower than my stalk that I had in there to kind of be an understory to the arrangement. Now these daisy stems are actually pretty sturdy, so I'm not having to use anything else to hold them up. But for my cornflowers, it's a different story. Now you'll notice here, this stem is very, very wobbly. It's not stable at all. Well, there's a trick that you can do. And all you need to do to make these more stable is to take some florist wire. And I'm using 26 gauge wire. I started out trying to use 28 and it didn't work because it was not sturdy enough. So I went to a little bit thicker wire, and I'm just taking this wire and I'm going to poke it down through the center of this flower and down through the center of the stem. Now I've got it down here below the stem, and I'm just going to pull it on down, and you'll notice I made a crook at the top here And what I'm going to do is pull that crook down just until you can't see it anymore. Now don't pull too hard on this or you'll pop the top off of your flower, but that's going to keep that flower head stable. And then I'm going to finish out here by just kind of winding the wire around the stem, and then I'll cut that off. Of course, you don't want to use your good clippers to cut wire, so even a pair of wire cutters would work well. And now these are ready to put in my arrangement, and they'll stand up. Now you can use these for any kind of a composite type flower that has a flat head on it to keep those standing up. And actually, when you do that, you need to cut that off a little more. You can also kind of turn that the direction that you want. If you want your flower to turn out a little bit more, that works really well. Now what you do want to remember to do is be sure and get that stem, the stem of the flower, down in your floral foam so that it will take up water. Make sure it's not just wire sticking in that foam, but that you've got your stem down in there too. So that'll take a little bit of work. So now if I just put one more in, there we have a nice arrangement. It's very small and compact, so it could go on the dinner table and you could still see across the table and talk to the people sitting across from you. And it's going to look good, and it's also going to smell nice.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.